Welcome everyone, Souldin of the Grin brothers here, and today is another episode of Tea Time. Possibly Tea Time episode 2. I'm undecided if I'm going to upload these in order of when I actually recorded them. In any case, today for Tea Time I'm here with, I'm here with just myself, but I'm going to be drinking a Darjeeling tea. Pure black Darjeeling tea. I have no idea what it tastes like. Yet again, I'm experimenting with a lot of my teas. But what I'm actually drinking probably doesn't interest you whatsoever unless I get some humorous reaction from it. Well, I'm not going to get the humorous reaction if I dislike it. I'm going to be the one screaming like, ah! In any case, today for tea time, I figured I should discuss a game of which has been making me think on a certain matter involving, stuff. I'm not sure where I was going with that sentence. Anyway, today on Tea Time, I'll be discussing Sunset Overdrive for the Xbox One. Because, as I think I've said in the previous episodes of Tea Time, I do have an Xbox One. I ended up getting myself the Crystal White Xbox One, which came free with Sunset Overdrive. Download only, annoyingly enough. They didn't advertise that part. In any case, I wanted the white Xbox One because I think the colour scheme looks cooler than the regular Xbox One, and I wanted to play Sunset Overdrive, and I wanted an Xbox One, so win-win there. In any case, Sunset Overdrive, a game made by Insomniac Games, which is exclusive to the Xbox One. It's really weird to think that. You think Insomniac, you think Ratchet & Clank and Killzone, I believe, and you think, aren't they Sony exclusive? No, they're apparently not, so hey, Sunset Overdrive exclusive to Xbox One. In any case, I'll say it straight up front, I really like the game. Sunset Overdrive is an amazing game. Probably in my top 100 or close enough. Just sort of like, it's on that sort of like 90 to 110 level. Between there. I mean, I prefer some of the games I've played this year, like Hyrule Warriors, but Sunset Overdrive, really fun game. With really enjoyable gameplay. Love the graphics, love the design, love the things you can do in it. I'm not one for playing online, but my small experience playing online was a lot of fun. But there was something that struck me odd about Sunset Overdrive. Now, the way it's been marketed, there are various key things that this game has been built around. One is it's the fact that it's supposed to be like a game. It is a game, so of course it's going to be like a game. As in, it doesn't pretend to be anything else. It's not trying to be realistic. It's doing the apocalypse as a fun, vibrant thing where you can do lots of wacky things, and it is very wacky and zany and accepts that it's a game. You respawn and all that. All very interesting things. It's centered around its gameplay, where you're constantly having to grind and rail around all that and bounce off things and run along walls, shooting things, and it works brilliantly in that. My brother, Raf, when playing it, disagreed on the fact that he's annoyed that he couldn't aim on the game because he wanted to perform headshots, but I'm frankly okay with that because I have absolutely terrible aim. I simply just TNT Teddy everything after freezing him so I can actually hit him. And oftentimes I don't even hit him after that. So, but in any case, those things are very true to the game. They are very true in terms of how they market it and such. But another area they marketed the game was in terms of customization. They sort of marketed it itself in that you could be who you wanted to be. And that the main character is a player avatar. It is you. I disagree with this. It's how the game's been presenting itself, but in playing the game, I never once felt like I was playing myself. This is a bad thing, and also a blessing. In terms of the bad thing, they tried to make customization simple. I can understand that. It gets annoying in games like Skyrim where you have to customize all the slightest details. Unfortunately, they didn't give enough options through customization by making it simple. For instance, obviously you can choose between male or female, but you only have 2 body types between them. Now, I went about creating my avatar, Nanka, but I could never get her just right. I could have... just to remind you, Nanka is the avatar which I have presented in my in the Grin Brothers avatar thing, the witch drinking tea. Any case, back to what I was saying. But for instance, if I wanted to make a character more like myself, in which case fat would probably be the first thing I'd come up with, there's no fat character, neither male or female. In fact, I don't think there's really many. I think there's only like one or two people who actually have the model called fat. But you can't play as a fat character. You don't seem to have that many options in terms of what your character can be in body type. You also don't have as much clothing option as I'd say would be expected of other games. I mean, games like Saints Row 4, for instance, a game Raffi loves. In fact, it's insane how much he loves the game. And that's a very funny story I should tell you in the future about. But in any case, there wasn't as many customized options in clothing variety as what Saints Row 4 offered. In fact, I felt the clothing options was quite limited in some regards. You only have 4 different colours of some of the clothes, and some of the clothing options doesn't even have the sort of 4 different colour options. And you only have about maybe sort of 20 of each. Maybe you could say it's being a bit spoiled, but it really never felt like I could design my character the way I wanted to. And a lot of the times, the clothing options, some of them were kind of samey. I mean, trousers, jeans often ended up looking pretty much the same after like sort of 3 different varieties and such. And that's disappointing in a regard. But probably admittedly in gameplay, you get a fair amount of customization options in terms of what weapons you want to use, so you can feel the change in gameplay. And the amps are a unique thing, though the actual way of unlocking amps by finding the various collectibles like fizzy balloons and such was really difficult to manage. And there's so many of them, and it takes a lot of these stuff like the fizzy balloons, the shoes, the toilet paper, to actually be able to get amps and equip amps and such. So you don't really truly get to feel the customization option if you're sort of like trying to blaze through the campaign, which I tend to do because I get bored if I'm just randomly running about the place. Well, I also went through all the side quests. I like side quests when they give you a point, not just randomly running about finding them, but I like side quests. Any case, yeah, so even the sort of customization option weapons didn't really feel like they were my own personal sort of set of weapons per se. It's just a set of predetermined weapons that I happen to like using certain ones. And another aspect, but this is where the things start to differ, is the main character, the player avatar, has a personality. As far as I'm aware, it's the same regardless of the 4 body types you choose. You can't change the voice, which in turn changes some of the lines your character says. No, it's always the same sort of thing. However, in the fact that your character has such a strong personality, they go through a character development arc. They actually progress through the story. They have a sort of likes and dislikes, and they make so many different remarks that the character itself is really enjoyable. The main character of Sunset Overdrive never made me think, this is me, or this is Nanka, or this is the character I want it to be. It just made me think of a preset character, but a very likable preset character. A character who can be a bit of a douche. Kind of, pretty much, the character ends up like you've seen from the trailer. The main character of Sunset Overdrive that you saw from the trailers. I honestly don't see why they didn't just stick with using that Sunset Overdrive main character thing, because he has a likable design, was likable through his trailers. Okay, admittedly, that's debatable, but I found him very likable. And the character arc, the storytelling of Sunset Overdrive, though it has some points where it's like playing up for humour, is surprisingly strong. As a customization thing, as in a game where the aim of the story is to try and make it feel like you're playing as you're who you want to be, it doesn't do so very well. But in terms of telling a straightforward story, in terms of telling the story development of Sunset Overdrive main character, of how that character grows and develops, and what that character becomes like over time, and the character interactions, the friendships the character makes, and the pains the characters go through, the struggle and the journey and all that, it does so brilliantly. It is an amazing story if it's about that character, and about the world that character's in, and how the apocalypse has changed that character, how the events the character goes through makes that character develop and all that. So, whether this is ultimately a good thing kind of depends. I mean, I'm a little annoyed that I could never truly feel like the Nanka I was trying to create within the game. I couldn't give her different sort of voicing options. There wasn't alternative options for dialogue or sort of choices of yes or no, really, other than do you want to do this side quest? Or do you want to go about doing the side quests at any point? There was no sort of, and there wasn't much variety in the options of sort of body size and such. The hair options were pretty okay, but sometimes felt a little bit restricted. And the clothing options, some were a bit too nonsensical, some were just lacking a bit in the variety, but there are some interesting ones, to say the least. But when it comes to liking the story it tells, I really do. I think that if you're able to get past the fact that, unlike how it's sort of marketed, sort of presented in terms of this character is supposed to be how you want that character to be, if you can accept the character as not yourself, but as this determined character sort of who develops and has an arc, then you're probably going to really enjoy the story that character has to follow and the character itself, as well as the interactions that character has. It never feels like you're you, but it does feel like you're understanding the main character, that you can see where this main character comes from, and to like the main character for all of their pros and cons. So, even if you don't enjoy the story of the game, of course, there's always the gameplay itself, which is absolutely amazing, and it looks pretty and all that. And apparently it's getting more sort of season pass DLC and such to expand the campaigns and such. But yeah, so opinions will differ on it, but I don't think, as overall summarising, Sunset Overdrive doesn't work as a customization storyline in terms of a player avatar setting, but it does work well in telling a story, despite how it tries to present itself constantly as being a game where it's just mucking about. It still tells a really strong story and character arc in it. At least I feel it to do so. Oh, that was a lot more sort of analytical than the previous episode of Tea Time, wasn't it? Provided that the previous episode of Tea Time is the very first episode of Tea Time. I'm now going to, before I end, try out my Darjeeling tea. It's probably going to be too hot, but let's try. Oh, gosh, that's revolting. Oh, gosh. Oh. 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 Okay. Oh. Oh. That was my little analysis thing of Sunset Overdrive. Hopefully I'll be able to come up with a decent title for it, because I'm still trying to think of something snappy for it. Customization over story? Maybe something like that. In any case, I hope you enjoyed. I hope if you played Sunset Overdrive that you've been having a good time with it. And if you're interested in Sunset Overdrive, I personally give it my approval in terms of both its gameplay and its story. But if you're mostly going for it for its customization aspect, you may be let down a bit. But, like I said, you may enjoy it for the other things. I think games can surprise us quite a lot sometimes. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed. It's been enjoyable discussing this because it's been something that's been on my mind for a while. Cheerio, everyone!